could be titled The Ugh and the Gratitude. Could just be called Here's a Life Update. Could be called Hey Switch Yards, sponsor me. Today is February 12th. I was supposed to be closing on my dream loft today. If you have been following closely, you've heard me drop little subtle hints about this place and how, I had booked Costa Rica because I just didn't know where I was going to land, and I was staying with my friends, and it's been quite a privilege to have their space. And I realized, hey, I'm working virtually now. I can work from Costa Rica for a month. That wasn't the original intent, it just ended up being that, if you watched any of my last videos. And I felt like, I was going to go to Costa Rica, and then I was going to figure out my plan. And then a week after I booked Costa Rica, I found this loft. Oh, did I just believe so deeply that this was my space, this was supposed to be mine. And I messaged my friend that lives in the city that usually does a very good job of being like, yes, you should live here, or absolutely stay far away. And he said, oh, good to go, do it. So I messaged my real estate, and I was like, hey, can you get me in here? Got me in, I think 2 days later, and I was so convinced I was going to find a problem, which I did. There's a lot of things that needed to be updated. And so I negotiated my price down to this beautiful, in my budget, just unbelievable price from my dream brick walled loft. And I said to everyone that I had in my inner circle that was like aware of what was working, I said, if this is not for me, ooh honey, I'm gonna need protected, because I surely believe it's for me. Perfect price. You could rent it out. I could have Airbnb'd it. I could have rented it out long term. It was everything, just needed a lot of updates, which I would have done throughout the years of me living there before I would have eventually rented it out. That was my 5-year plan. Well, I'm in Costa Rica, and there's no signs of any problems happening. And I'm so visualizing me in this space. I can see where all my furniture is going to go. I can see what I'm getting rid of, because I bought a 900 square feet loft because I wanted to downsize my life, my impact, the just stuff that always felt like it was weighing me down. And so I had such a clear vision while I was in Costa Rica of what I was going to be getting rid of. It was so obvious to me. And I came back and immediately started to sort through my clothes that I have at my friend's house, which is really only my winter clothes because everything else is in a storage unit. And the second day I'm home, I get a phone call from my real estate agent, and he's like, hey, I'm not trying to ring any alarms, but there is a potential delay in closing because there's a lawsuit with the HOA. He didn't have that many details in the beginning, but each day the details built and built, and this just the chaos of the whole picture just kept growing. And I think my whole team, the mortgage company, my friends that are like walking me through it, as well as the real estate agent, were all kind of giving me, hey, this is a red flag, proceed with caution, none of this is looking good. And I was like, nope, keeping the vision. I'm not giving up on this place. It's everything that I could ever want. Nope. And as time went on, it just started to become more and more obvious that I was probably being protected, and I just was not willing to accept it. And so thankfully my team was very patient with me, and they worked, and they're still actually, today by the end of the day is the deadline for everything to come in. We've all sort of accepted, including the seller and the seller's agent, that this isn't happening. Like, nothing was coming together. The HOA wasn't able to provide the information the mortgage company needed, and we could drag this out for another month and still not have answers, and it could be bad for me to purchase with this like mess looming over the whole building. So I finally came to the understanding that, well, shoot, this isn't happening. This is one of those true testaments of needing to create space for both realities of, well, that's annoying. I'm really pretty disappointed. And pretty sad about this because I really, really saw it for me. But also, I'm so very thankful because A, I was clearly being protected from a hot mess that would have happened if I lived there. But B, I have my friends to still live with. They're not giving me this, like, you need to be out by tomorrow deadline. And it's just an incredible blessing that I have a safe space to land. And I'm lucky I'm even in the position to be buying anything. And, you know, it was funny whenever I then said, fine, I found another loft I like. It's quite a bit more. If you guys can get me it, we can just let this go. This was before I'd come to terms with it. And they're like, yeah, that's about $40,000 over your max budget. So we're sorry, that's not happening. And that's when I was like, okay, I have to really come to terms with the fact that this everything being perfect picture isn't happening. And now I'm kind of back to scratch because with my budget and my desires, which I am no shame for, it's limited. And so, you know, this is a great time for me to be like, well, this sucks, but also I have time because my friends are giving me time. What a blessing, right? Like, such a blessing. So I texted all my friends, you know, hey, I've been keeping them all kind of up to date each day. They'd be like, any updates? And I'm like, so this is how the plot just thickened, but still no answer. And then finally yesterday I kind of texted everyone and I was like, it's definitely not happening. And I ended up texting my friends in a group text that I can't wait for us to celebrate oh my gosh, I'm so glad I didn't buy that property, because I know that I'm gonna find something. And thankfully I have life experience enough to know that there's been times where I've really, really wanted something. Like, oh, I was pushing so hard and it didn't work. And then eventually I'm like, wow, I'm so glad that didn't work out, because look where I'm at now and it's perfect. So I'm staying in faith of that while still allowing myself to have the human experience of being like, well, I was just really excited to have my own space. I'm a big, please let's get on with it girly. Like, what are we doing? Let's make the most of our time. Let's get moving. Like, I just want things to happen and be done and be resolved. And I just wanted to land in my next chapter and be ready to create all of the things in my own space. And that's not what's happening. And so as much as I'm like, let's get on with it girly, I'm also a life is forever being like, hey, take a breath, take a pause, have some patience. Make sure you don't lose sight of the bigger picture. And I think one day I'll eventually just give into that more with ease, but I was definitely not ready to let this go. Even though last week everyone was like, this doesn't look good. Like, I wouldn't, and you know, even my friends were like, I wouldn't advise somebody to buy a place with an HOA this messed up, because eventually it's going to cost you money. The interesting thing I sort of had to process through with this as well, and it's not just like, hey, it's okay to create space for both, because, you know, when you have a perspective of the world and all of the chaos going on in the world, and you're living in a like really safe space and your friends aren't pushing you out, and you're able to save money and to have food and to have a roof over your head, it's hard sometimes to even allow yourself to feel the disappointment, but you have to be like, this sucks. That's why it's like, ugh, and I'm so thankful, right? That was one of those things that was almost an expected thing that I would have to process through, not a surprise. I had to also hold space for the vision of something better is probably coming along, and just because this didn't work out doesn't mean that something else isn't, because that's where sometimes my brain's like, well, now I gotta settle for white walls. No offense to anyone who likes white walls. I wish I did, actually. It'd be a much easier house hunt. The other thing that happened, though, that I really wasn't quite expecting that I had to sort of work through was the way in which I was about to attack myself. And I have this just hyper self-accountability. It is a thing that once I realized how much self-accountability actually gives you your power back, and it allows you to see what you have control over, it helps whenever you feel like you have no control over a situation. And so there's so many times where I'm trying to say, what was my part of this, so I can learn my lesson and I can make sure I don't do it again. And I didn't expect to like blame myself for not holding the vision. You know, when I bought the house, we set a long closing date because I was going to be gone for most of January, and then the woman that was selling the house, was going to be gone up until our closing date. And we had closed, like everything was under contract by Christmas, and we weren't closing until February 12th. And so I wasn't going to say anything, and then my real estate agent posted about it, and I was really excited, and I was like, look at this loft, it's so pretty, and I was excited to share with my friends. And so I shared about it, and then everyone wanted to ask questions, and I said, I'm not ready to talk about it. I don't know that I fully processed it, because the whole thing was so, I mean, I found the property the beginning of December, was under contract by the end of December, and it was all very fast, and I just didn't fully process it. But also I said, there's too much that can happen between now and closing. Like, I don't really want to talk about it, because what if something happens? And then when I was setting up the movers, I asked the movers, I was like, hey, if something happens, I can like cancel this or reschedule it. And they're like, yeah, that happens all the time. And so when everything actually did start to fall through, I was like, oh, did I manifest this? Because I wasn't like in full faith. And it's interesting the way in which self-accountability can become like a weird self-blame that's not actually in its place. Like, I did not do this. And maybe I had some sort of intuitive knowing that this felt too good to be true. The price, the brick walls, the way I could rent everything out, the ease in which I got approved for the loan, like all of it just felt, I don't know, it was weird. I kept telling my friends, like, it doesn't feel real. But then I was thinking, well, I was in Costa Rica, and I told everyone how I listened to this Bob Proctor meditation about visualizing, and visualized me in a loft with brick walls, and I was about to move into a loft with brick walls, and it's really exciting. But even as I was saying it to everyone, it never felt real. Even as much as I could visualize myself in the space, because it had the brick walls. It had space for an art room. It had a tiny closet, and I was getting rid of clothes. I already did, got rid of 4 bags, can't take that back. I had a hard time fully believing it was happening. And I even said to my friend that I'm staying with while I was in Costa Rica, I was like, I haven't even thought about the house here other than how to decorate. And I've told a few people, but like I haven't even really thought about, oh my God, I'm gonna get back and be there for 10 days and then be moving in. And she said, it's because you're so far removed. And it was like, yeah, maybe, because when you're in Costa Rica, it is hard to keep one foot in America and one foot there. Like, you really just want to be in the experience. But, you know, as a working professional working out of the country, I still had to keep a foot here, but it wasn't like a personal level. It was what's going on in the grand scheme of things, which was just chaos. So there was a whole day that I had to work through. Oh, this was your fault, Hope. You didn't believe in it enough. You spoke doubt into the situation. Like, this was your fault, and you better get clearer with your visioning, or else you're not going to get what you really want. And could part of that be true? Maybe. But honestly, none of this was my fault. There is a lawsuit, and the HOA is wrapped up in some stuff. There's a financial deficit. And I truly, truly think there's something protecting me. And I have to go back to the very initial, if this isn't for me, someone's gonna have to protect me from it, because I am gonna go for it. And I have no regrets for pursuing this house the way I did, because it taught me that whole, when I know what I want and it's right in front of me, I'm going to take action. Because I feel as if I witnessed so many people seeing what they want right in front of them and not taking action towards it. And I just wasn't about to fall into that. I wasn't about to lose this house to someone else. I wasn't about to allow fear to stop me. I don't have anyone that can save me if I all of a sudden can't pay a mortgage. And so signing for a mortgage is a pretty scary thing to do. But I'm ready to be that kind of independent woman, and I believe in myself. I believe in my abilities to make money. I worked through so much past programming and lack mentality, and I really, really felt confident in myself and so excited to have my own space. And I think that's why the disappointment hit a little bit harder, because I'm just ready to be in a space that's mine, and I can be creating and building. And when you live in other people's spaces, it's like you always feel so thankful, but and I can make home anywhere, and I do. My friends will tell you, like, when I come to their houses, I'm just home. But there's also this hyper awareness of like, oh, well, my routine ruined their routine, me getting up too early, am I making too much noise? And so it was just exciting for the idea of me to be like freely bebopping around in my own space, and especially one that was going to be so inspiring to me. I just knew creativity was about to flow. And I also think there's two other things that I've learned in this process. And one is, I know what I need to be doing. I don't need to be in my own space to do it. And I could use it as an excuse of, oh, well, I don't have my own space, so therefore that's why I'm not producing the amount of content and networking that I should be doing, and I'm not building my business, and I'm not creating healthy routines for myself because I don't have my own space. I could fall in that excuse easily, because it's so easy to get caught up in other people's routines when you're in their space. I could easily use that as a reason to be like, not in my flow. But that's an excuse. And it's just time for me to create my own flow regardless of where I am. The other thing is, when I was in Costa Rica, I was like, it's all happening. Life is beautiful. I am divinely protected. Anything I want is coming to me at speed. Like, I'm about to live my best life. I'm about to build my business so big and be creative and build this beautiful community and network, and we're about to like travel. And I really saw it, felt it, believed it, celebrated it, and I just feel like the universe is like, hey, can you hold on to that? Can you hold on to that resonance of like, hey, it's all happening. I'm very thankful. Look at me making moves in the world, even when things aren't going the way you wanted them to go. Can you still live in that, I'm so thankful, it's all happening, look at life, yay me, existence, even when things are just like, not exactly going as planned. And, a lot of times people are like, you find meaning in things that really are just random or meaningless or just a part of life. And it's like, life is without meaning. We bring meaning to it. And so, yeah, of course I do. To me, I'm going to take everything that happens and turn it into an opportunity to learn from it, to grow from it, to understand if there's something bigger playing out in it. I don't know where I'm landing now. And so for the past year, I have been literally being like, hey, I want clarity. I want to know where I'm going next. I want to make action steps toward it. I want to know. When I bought this loft, I thought that that was like a huge step into where I'm landing. And I had that grounding, I know where I'm going next plan. And now I'm back to, I have no idea. I mean, I think half the people were expecting me to come on here and be like, guess what? I'm moving to Costa Rica. That's not happening. As much as I love that place very much, I also know my needs, and they're being met here. Here is Atlanta. And that's because I need to build my business. I need to make my community. I need roads that are drivable. I need a landing spot. People kind of see me as a free spirit, which obviously I'm wearing leopard and flowers, and I am a bit, this is my personality, right? Like, I am the girl that's gonna go spend a month somewhere. And I am the girl that entertained living in every place I've vacationed. But I am also the girl that needs a landing spot. I need my roots. I need my space that I can come back to, regroup, refocus, create my community, and then I just go bebop wherever I want to, because that's the life I'm working towards. Which is why I say, as much as I can feel disappointment about this not working out, I also feel the absolute privilege that I exist in. And so, like I said before, I worked really hard to be where I'm at. I'm going to keep working really hard, and I'm going to get to where I'm supposed to land next. And this is definitely one of those moments where it's like, how much do you really want this? What are you willing to do to get there? This was a bit of a ramble to let y'all know that it's all happening, and I'm still in the, what is it exactly? I think that's why it's all happening has resonated with me for so long, is that I don't really know what it is. I just know that it is happening. So I'm still being pushed forward. Build that network, Hope. Build that community. Build your business and reach people and help them remember that healing is possible. Walk people through these situations. Like, I feel as if so often life takes me through a little loop-de-loo, so that when somebody comes to me with their own loop-de-loo, I can be like, oh, I know exactly how to hold your hand as we walk back out of this chaos. Like, I got you. Been there, done that. I got you. So I always believe there's a bigger picture at play. This isn't just, oh, I thought I was going to get a loft and it didn't work out. Meh. Welcome to trying to buy a loft. Like, it's more than that. I know that it's more than that, because my real estate team, including the mortgage company and everyone that's been fighting for me to get this is all the first time that they've ever experienced what's going on, and they're learning so much from it. I know that none of us after this experience will ever move the same. And that sounds really dramatic, but it's also true. So that alone makes me realize there's a much bigger picture at play here. And life is like, patience, dear grasshopper. Patience is a little patience. Ooh. Maybe singing that will get me the $40,000 extra for my dream loft.